Good morning, everybody. A pleasure to be with you, and especially in the audience of so many young entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs. And we just saw such an example of a business model that is fascinating. And it's quite clear, Europe needs growth, and not only today, but especially today, so to say. And by the way, it sounds very arrogant. I'm Dutch, I'm not arrogant at all, I'm straightforward. I know where to find it, and it's right in this room. So I imagine that you do agree. Why am I saying that line? Because it is indeed digital that helps us innovate, grow, and create jobs. And when people are complaining, and I can assure you that there are people complaining, also in Brussels, and saying, oh my goodness, recession, and we have to tackle unacceptable figures of youth unemployment, and rightly so, very, very worrying. I always raised my hand and I said, I have the solution, anyhow a part of the solution, and it is in the digitalization. Digital tools, technology, and talent. And we are far too modest in Europe. We have so much talent, and we should be not modest, we should mention it, and we should prove it. The ICT sector itself is large, is growing like hell, but in fact, this can help business in every sector. For certain people are making, in my opinion, the mistake to say, it is just ring-fence in the digital sector. Not at all. It is connected with every economic activity, and by the way, also other activities. It is in every sector, innovating, improving, boost performance and productivity. And Europe can't afford to fall behind. We can't afford, but even stronger, we don't want to fall behind. But realistically, looking at this, we are falling behind. So the global giants of ICT are among the biggest companies in the world. And I don't need to mention the Googles and the Apples and the Facebooks and the Amazons. And you shall notice there are no Europeans in that list. That, by the way, has a serious implication for our economy. And by the way, also for our privacy. And why aren't they in the list? And I just touch upon very shortly. Europe has a vibrant history of invention, has a vibrant history of discovery, no doubt about that, from the text message, the GSM standard, Skype, Angry Birds, Linux, Drupal, all born and quite often still flourishing in Europe. Only from France, talking about France, it's Deezer, it is Dailymotion, it's Van Privé, it's Viadeo, it's Criteo, Jolly Cloud, and more. Startups showing we still have bright digital ideas. But quite too often, even innovators who start in Europe don't stay in Europe. And our global giants are falling fast, even in areas where we were once strong, very strong. And that matters, by the way, that has the consequences for our whole economy and for our digital future. And it matters if we cannot capture the opportunities of tomorrow or don't have bright ideas born and growing in Europe. So my point is, supporting digital growth has long been the philosophy of our digital agenda for Europe. And there is increasing recognition and increasing agreement from politicians across Europe about this issue. And I can imagine, and I'm not completely certain if I'm a politician, but people are saying I am a politician. Okay, so then I dare to say, politicians are not the first in row to recognize the importance, and quite often take their time to discuss and dispute a couple of issues before taking decisions. And time is over. Time is over to dispute and discuss and go on. We should take decisions. And there is an increasing recognition from your side that time is over. And I welcome this. I welcome this, and in 2 weeks, the EU leaders, so President Hollande and his colleagues, will meet to discuss how to support the digital future. Feed him, feed your president, so to say, with that it is really time to act and not anymore be together, nice lunch, nice dinners, and what have you. Decisions have to be taken. For one thing, dear friends, we must support European entrepreneurs. And as it stands, they don't have the recognition, the rules, or the resources. Recognition that is not just a valid career choice, but the key to the future. And I welcome that the French government is seeing the importance, for example, of venture capital. Very important. Something all startups clearly need. We are aware of that. And it's time to start supporting those essential resources and not stand in their way. The Startup Manifesto, and I just show it that you can anyhow say we have seen it. It's the Startup Manifesto written by our Startup Leaders Club of Successful Entrepreneurs. And it is just a club of entrepreneurs who have proven that they did start up and they were successful and they are successful. This is, by the way, the Rovio guy, this is the Skype guy, this is the Spotify guy, and so on and so forth, the 20 guy. And they were visiting me, and of course I offered them a cup of coffee. But far more important, I asked them, what would you do if you were me? If you had my portfolio, and by the way, there is no vacancy, but just imagine that you are the commissioner for the digital agenda. And they looked at me and they said, why should we say that? And I said, well, because you have the experience and I'm fed up with all the complaints that politicians are not acting. Come on, you have the opportunity. They went home and they made this brochure. And it is a brochure, clear language, very to the point, very focused on what has to be done in Europe for the startup and for the enterprises that are really going. And what is at stake now? Already 5,000 people have signed it. It's online, so please sign it too. And it doesn't mean that everything has to be done by the European Commission. Thanks heaven. Some issues have to be dealt with on a national level or on a local level, but it is really down to earth. Lots of great ideas in it. And if you are willing, then it's online, still online, startupmanifesto.io. I don't want us to be the US, and I can't repeat that enough. We don't need and we shouldn't need to just copy Silicon Valley. We shouldn't try. Why? We are ourselves. We do have our own culture. We do have our own entrepreneur spirit. I think we could learn from them, no doubt about that. Never too old to learn and never too old to say, come on, that's not what we are interested in. Celebrate risk and support innovation is quite an important part. We need to support the digital ecosystem. And what has to be done for that? Well, investing in key areas. For you can develop whatever you want, the best business model. If there is not the infrastructure, if we don't have the high-speed broadband structure, then you can forget it, for you will lose the game, so to say. So supporting European excellence in fields like electronics and new 5G technology. By the way, the European Commission have been proposing that is investing hundreds of millions of euros in a new public-private partnership just focusing on 5G. We can't afford not being in the driver's seat, and that is my obvious goal. We should be back in the driver's seat, and we should certainly be aware of the growth of big data, which sectors from retail to transport are coming to rely on we should do our job and be in the driver's seat with the development of 5G. And that is what we will be doing through the EU's Horizon 2020 program, a program that's not only text, it is also money. And by removing all the obstacles that stop online services working across borders. Because you, European innovators, don't have easy access to a single market. And in the US, and we are aware of that, you can easily share, you can easily spread and sell your ID to a market of hundreds of millions. And what is fascinating, we do have a market in Europe of 500 million citizens. So then you are talking. But then you have to make it a real single market. And in Europe, you still must deal with many different rules and many different standards. So to say, a fragmented tangle. From payment systems to cloud standards, to copyright and licensing, to how you identify yourself online, it is all fragmented. If we are able to put those obstacles together, and it's often far harder to trade online than in the real world, bring them down, and we are giving our economy a real chance, and then we are talking. For then it is indeed, under circumstances of a recession, under circumstances of huge youth unemployment figures, but then you are talking, for that is a part of the solution. We absolutely need, and I'm repeating myself, we need telecom networks, and we need the good ones. The connectivity that underpins digital competitiveness. Other parts of the world have far faster, far better broadband, fixed and wireless. We need to do our job. If you just compare with other parts of the world, Europe has just 6% of the world's 4G. Come on, 500 million citizens and just 6% of 4G. And this is digital oxygen. Online innovation can't survive without it. So we have to take into account that indeed broadband that isn't fast, but secure, high quality and seamless is the wording. Market of 500 million, every citizen without fast broadband, let us see it like that, is a lost opportunity. Every European digital, but also with the right speed. Unable to enjoy the latest internet innovation or try out that great new gadget. A missed opportunity for themselves and for the whole European digital ecosystem. We won't get every European digital, and I want to, without a strong, healthy telco sector. One that benefits from single market boost. And today we don't have that. The telco sector is a patient. That telco sector is not healthy at all. Operators find it hard to work between countries to offer seamless connectivity and get economies of scale. Just to show you, our crown jewel is the single market, a single market that has no borders. And one sector, one economic sector is outrageous from that. It is not involved in this sector. It is ring-fenced in 28 markets, the telco sector. It's outrageous, it's odd, so to say. Mobile users face, therefore, poor connections, blocked services, and unfair charges. And that has an impact on the whole digital economy and beyond. So, what to do? Please bring down the barriers that plague those networks. A modern, thriving telco sector cannot build on roaming, excessive call charges, or throttled services. With fewer obstacles, with fairer prices, and the economies of scale for innovation and investment, we can do a far better job for broadband that doesn't stop at the border. And it isn't a border anymore, for we have a borderless continent in Europe. It is an artificial border, and only You are aware when you are entering another member state, when your mobile is giving a signal, and that is not from today, so to say. The internet is changing many things, and companies need to respond. Sustainable revenue comes from solid business models, not relying on the cash cows of the past, but adapting the opportunities of the future, and there are a lot. Innovative business models that monetize data and enable investment. And of course, our rules and regulation also need to respond to this revolution too. So let's get rid of a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of red tape. It involves many issues. Issues like convergence, over-the-top services, and taxation. Those are valid concerns. Don't misunderstand me. Competition must be fair. It is a level playing field that should be fair. But here's the thing. We won't get where we want to go simply by leveling down, by making it harder for internet innovation to flourish in Europe, by standing between Europe's citizens and the online tools they love, by applying more burdensome regulation when you could be ensuring the competitive markets where regulation can be lifted, and regulation can be lifted in quite a number of cases. We won't get there by just introducing new taxes or new restrictions on restructuring. Neither for telcos nor any other digital sector, but rather by supporting business opportunities like the Internet of Things, cloud computing, big data, and allowing companies to adapt how they operate accordingly. We will only get there with a healthy telco sector, a sector that is able to invest and that is able to innovate. European champions who are stronger, fitter, more able to compete, so to say. And without that, Europe will continue to be a digital follower, and we don't want to be a digital follower. We want to take the lead, and there will be otherwise never a true level playing field. Because you don't win a global race by obstructing the opposition. You are aware of that. The news at Alcatel shows the cost of failing to adapt, the cost of not having a digitally competitive Europe. And it's not only Alcatel, we saw it with Nokia too. A cost borne by telco companies, digital companies, and the whole economy. Action on telco networks is just the start of the journey. But we have to start today. Otherwise, we are losing the game. We need to bring down our borders. And it's time we did that for the online world too. An open environment supporting the open internet. So let's make the deal. Let's build a vibrant Europe ecosystem. One where European ideas can grow, flourish and spread. One where innovators like you start in Europe and stay in Europe. Let's ensure the connectivity to provide innovative services over fast networks. Let's bring down barriers and let's invest in the future. And that is the issue EU leaders will be confronted with at the European Council in 2 weeks' time, and they can take a big step forward for a connected, competitive continent. Just Twitter to your president that he will take a positive attitude during that meeting, and just think of you and all your colleagues who are the startups, the hope and our expectation for a better Europe. Thank you.
Bravo. Dank u. Dank u.